What up? What up? Welcome back in for the third installment of First Strike. Ready to go get it done with you guys. Excited about the card. I'm back with the Apex Predators of the Octagon, your bookie's worst nightmares. MMA Jeff and Subhuman Gaucho. And we're lined up and ready to fire. We had a big last Saturday. Unfortunately, we had a ton of cancellations that we had to navigate. So we figured, you know what? Instead of just giving you guys one, we give you guys a whole bunch today. We got 4 looks for the combat weekend ahead of us. Sub's going to talk about the PFL at Salt Lake City. MMA Jeff and I are going to talk about some fights in the UFC in Saudi Arabia. MMA Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Looking forward to seeing some of these fights in Saudi Arabia. I heard the pregame and earlier, and you said they were mandated to watch these fights. So I'm excited.
I think it is a national mandate. If they are hosting the events in Saudi Arabia, you have to watch them. I don't know that that's confirmed, but I think that's what I heard around the grapevine. Subhuman, how we doing, my guy? Good to see you.
Great, man. Great to be here. Looking forward to this weekend. We'll be live, of course, for both Bellator and UFC Saturday afternoon, but I'm really looking forward to this PFL event on Friday. I think you can argue, much as there's some fun fights in the Saudi card for UFC, I think this PFL Salt Lake City card might actually be superior. It's a really fun bunch of fights. So it's going to be a nice weekend.
I didn't dive in too much. I did see some of the fights, though, and one of the ones that you're talking about tonight, and I started looking at the card, and I thought, man, that's a nice looking PFL card. The afternoon UFC leads way to, you talked about Bellator and LFA as well. So it's a combat weekend. Mm-hmm. Should be a lot of fun if you like to get down with these types of events. And that's what you're here for. So we appreciate you guys rocking. Without further ado, let's jump right on in here. We'll start with Jeff talking about the UFC event here. Saudi Arabia battle. We've got Muhammad Naimov, 11-2, the number 27 ranked fighter in the world. We've got the number 1 up-and-comer, the regional punching bag, and Filipe Lima at 12-1. Jeff, talk to us about how you like this fight.
I gotta say, he's not necessarily a regional punching bag. He's been jumping around the regional scene to earn himself a number 1 position. He's been sitting around waiting to get that UFC shot. Naimov's fight, his original fight, got canceled, and he stepped up. So he's got his UFC shot coming up here, and he's 12-1. He's got a 12-1 record, and he's on a 12-fight win streak. He tends to start a little slower. They seem to go to a lot. He goes to a lot of decisions, and I don't think it's going to quite get there. Like I said, he mentioned, he asked for a UFC battle, and he's definitely going to get it against Muhammad here. He's fighting out of Tajikistan. He's, the Hillman there, like you said, ranked 27 nationally. He sits at 11-2 as a pro, and he's 3-0 in the UFC. So he's got the KO abilities. He's got the subs abilities. 3 of his last 6 fights ended in the first round. He likes to get out there, get it done quick, and back to your point, he's fighting a regional punching bag. So he's going to be the larger fighter in there, given the fact that Lima jumped up a weight class on this one. So I'm going to roll on the money line with Muhammad in this one at -125. As I was looking earlier, the line had shifted to -130. So I do see this one getting steamy here coming up towards the fight on Saturday. So Muhammad, money line.
Muhammad, money line for MMA Jeff there, -125. Very important to get some of these in early because they do get steamed up by the time the public's ready to bet MMA. These numbers very well could be gone. That's why we want to give this to you guys early. Make sure you do hit the thumbs up on the video as well and leave comments in there for us. Let's hear what you guys like for these fights and how you guys want to try to get paid with this weekend. I'm excited to talk about this next fight.
Yeah, so let's head over to the next fight. We've got Muin, Gafurov, pardon me, and Kang, Mr. Perfect. Previous road to UFC guy, I believe. I still haven't taped this fight. Got a little legwork I got to do, so I'm excited to hear what Mike's going to do here.
Yeah, this is one of those fights, we just talked about it on the onset too. When you talk about the steam, widely reported steam across the board with this fight here. This thing opened up. These guys were basically a -110 across the pop. The way that I'm looking at this one here is I see the public all over Gafurov, and I think it makes a lot of sense here. If you look at these two guys, you talk about fights and how they're moving in really opposite directions here. You look at recent performances as well. We see what's been going on with Kang But he's getting older out there now. He's just past the 36-year mark out there, and he's been a wily veteran in the UFC specifically. His first fight was all the way back in 2013. He started off, he was a young guy out there that was big on the submission. He was a big arm triangle choke, multiple arm triangle chokes, multiple submissions in his history, even as recent as 2.5 years back. But, Father Time is creeping up on this guy, and what he started to do now, and I see a lot of this with these older fighters, is judges handle their business for him. And you look at his most recent bouts out there, he does have that unanimous decision against him, against John Castaneda. Big unanimous decision for John Castaneda. On the other side of things, what do we see that's going on with our guy, Muin Gafurov? He's a guy that's kind of been working his way up here. Talk about trying to restock the pond in the UFC. I think Dana White's done just that. And you look at this guy's performances. He kind of started getting his name out there during the Dana White Contender Series. He lost it. He got kickboxed right out of there. And he kind of took his ball and he went home. He spent the next couple of years getting involved with the LFA. In fact, not only involved with the LFA, but his big 2 fights there for the LFA, main events, headliner events for the LFA, both 134 and 144, I believe were the numbers. And what did he do in those events? He kicked ass. He took names. He knocked out both those guys in main events. Struggling road, though. He gets the call up on short notice. There's John Castaneda again. We saw this with Mr. Perfect taking that decision loss. And that's how we saw Gafurov open up his UFC career. Unanimous decision loss to John Castaneda. I think he took that learning lesson, comes out there, gets a fight cancellation, and then again on short notice, he gets the phone call for Saeed Nurmagomedov. And what a battle. He ends up getting subbed, gets his ass kicked. Rightfully so. It's a Nurmagomedov. You don't mess around with Nurmagomedovs. But I don't like to mess around when it comes to guys that are from certain pockets of the world. Tajikistan, probably top of the rank. Now, it's tough for me because South Korea is another spot that I certainly like to kind of be wary and cognizant of. But I think in this case here, we've got the young up-and-comer battling this thing out right now. And this is the line steam alert of the day because this thing opened at minus 110s. The best number you can get out there right now is minus 160. I expect this thing to move all the way up to 200 by the time we see the actual fight go down. It's going to be a prelim event for Saudi Arabia. But this is one of those opportunities to take advantage of this fight early. I think the opportunity for Gafurov is to control the ring, battle hard, use his agility, use his energy. He's not a gas-out guy. And where we see Kang likes to fight is he likes to kind of use his arms. He likes to use the reach advantage. But I think the young up-and-coming buck is going to take down this gatekeeper for the UFC and finally get his contract and his UFC career moving in the right direction. Give me Gafurov at minus 160.
Yeah, I like it there. Man, it would have been nice to get that pick on it. But yeah, I agree with everything you said for the most part. Like I said, I still need to do some work on this fight. From what I've seen of Kang, I think he's a pretty talented guy. If this was going to be 15 minutes at long distance kicking range, you'd probably give him the advantage. But I think Gafurov just way more physical. He's going to be able to get inside, going to be able to get him to the ground more than likely. I see him coasting through, I should think.
And this is one of those cards.
I do see him as being the more aggressive fighter in this one. So I do like the call there. And I think he's going to get it done.
Yeah, this is one of those opportunities too, where you look at the UFC and kind of the modern thought around keeping the VIG down is a little different because we see when they're big favorites, they are big favorites for a reason at minus 400s. You have to figure out creative ways to play those things. But much like Jeff's fight and this fight here, these are moderate VIG numbers that I think we can certainly, build a bankroll around. And that brings us on to this PFL card, Subhuman Gaucho. We've got Salt Lake City. We got a big event coming up here. We've got quite the battle. Talk about names on the card. We're looking at this thing here, and we see Bruno Miranda. Yeah, he's number 118 out there, 119 even, lightweight contender, 16-5 record. And he's going out there against number 65, Patricky Pitbull. Pitbull's ready to roll 25-13. I'm sure you guys have heard that name. And, of course, Pitbull struggling, Bellator, struggling in his PFL debut. Talk to us about this fight, Sab. How are we getting paid?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. This one has Fight of the Night contender written all over it, I think. It's worth saying just a little bit about the PFL's format because that kind of matters for this one a bit. And the PFL, for those that maybe haven't watched as much, they have a regular season and a playoff. Now, we're just getting started in the regular season here. It's basically kind of like a modified round robin, if you will. You get a couple fights, and then you get points based on winning and how fast you win. So if you win in the first round, you get 6, second round 5, third round 4, and a decision gets you 3 points. Now, these guys both came out and they lost their first fight. So they're behind the 8 ball. They really need an early finish if they're going to have any chance of making it to the playoffs, getting that $1 million prize at the end. And so they're going to be getting after it. And this is also, as we talked about, in UFC, Salt Lake City at elevation. So you see people get awfully gassed when they're fighting under these sorts of circumstances. So I think this naturally leads to an under. These are both guys that have fought to a ton of finishes. In Miranda's 21 fights, he had, 17 go to finish? 16 go to finish, pardon me. Patricky, far more experienced fighter, he's got the majority of his at 23 of his 38 fights ending inside the distance, pardon me. So, yeah, the under is a natural play here, under 2.5 at Bet Online, currently minus 125. I think that's a lot of value. They've got all the incentive to go out there and get after it. And these were both guys who are kind of, I wouldn't say kill or be killed. They have some decisions on their record, but a good majority of their fights are going to the under. And in addition to that, I think they're going to come in swinging it out here. And I think Patricky is just slowing down a bit. I don't think he's totally washed, but you can see him getting slower. The hand speed isn't quite there. He's kind of stuck in the mud some of the time. At 38 years old, anybody, lightweight, featherweight, and below, you get past that 35-year mark, and you just start aging like milk. And that's, I think, what we're going to see more and more of when it comes to Patricky. So I do have Miranda minus 110. You can still find some minus 110s out there, but it's getting a little steam too. A lot of minus 125s. Wish I could have got in earlier at DK late Friday night. It opened with Miranda as the dog, like a plus 130 dog, if I recall. And that caught immediately steam. By 11:30 that night, he had already flipped to favorite. So I like Miranda here. He's got great body work. He's a Muay Thai guy, trains out of Thailand. And I think at elevation, he starts working that body. And I really don't see Patricky lasting past 2. All that said, Patricky, he is the lesser of the pit bulls. I think the books might have got him confused with his superior brother, but he can crack too. So it wouldn't totally shock me if Bruno Miranda got done in here. And Bruno Miranda, he's got some real problems on the ground. Not a great wrestler and just not a great BJJ guy. Last 2 fights, he got taken down and beaten up, albeit by Brent Primus and Olivier Aubin-Mercier, former champion, and Brent Primus, Bellator champion, certainly a contender, I think, in this playoffs here over at the PFL. So I will be taking Miranda here. You got to go with the minus 125. I don't mind that. I don't know if I would play it past, minus 150 because it wouldn't totally shock me if it got there. So yeah, give me the under and give me Bruno Miranda minus 110.
I like it. I think I feel the same way as you, though. I think Patricky, I think he's on the tail end of his career. Like you said, I don't think he's necessarily washed, but he's definitely on the tail end. And I like this one too. I like the under on this one as well. I think that Miranda line is going to swell as it gets closer to the fight. And another thing I wanted to chime in on there, I love the PFL format. I like the urgency to get out there and knock somebody's head off in the first minute to get your 6 points as a max in the first round. I love that setup. A lot of people that I talk to don't like it, but seems to make some more aggressive fights, my opinion. But I like the plays. Let's go, boys.
I see this one here as a great opportunity too, because to that point, the public's all over Pitbull's side of things right now. It seems like 82% of the Tapology numbers came in on this guy. But here's that reverse line movement opportunity where you talk about catching a minus 110, even a minus 125 now, despite everybody betting on Pitbull. Certainly everything you need to know about that fight. I love the urgency. I love distinction of the formats here. The difference between the UFC and the PFL was a great breakdown. Sub, MMA Jeff, lots of fun things going on, you guys. Tell them what's going on. Sub, where can they find you? What's the plan this weekend?
Yeah, get over to Twitter, Subhuman Gaucho at Twitter. And we will be we'll be streaming all day Saturday. That's going to be a marathon there. I mean, the fight started at noon, I believe. Yeah, that's going to be something. But yeah, we got a lot to look forward to. We got hockey tomorrow. And, I'll be hanging around. You can find me in the pre-gaming live chat most nights.
We love having you there. Follow my guy at Subhuman Gaucho over on X. MMA Jeff, what's cooking?
Gaucho, to chime in there, I think the PFL rolls till like 12:30, 1 o'clock Eastern a.m. Followed up by some 12 p.m. fights on Saturday.
Yeah, that's the only problem with the PFL is, they kind of take their time. Sometimes you're sitting there for like a half an hour in between a fight watching promos. You're like, okay, can we get this show on the road here? What are we doing?
But anyways, you can follow me, Jam Hockey 19 on X. And as Gaucho had mentioned, we're going to be streaming Saturday. So catch us there.
Absolutely. Make sure you follow me at X as well at PimpSlapPod. And subscribe to the Sports Money channel. We're up and down here. We're rolling. We got all kinds of content coming out for you guys on the regular. Going to be a marathon of a live stream on Saturday. We've got all kinds of things going on Monday through Friday as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the thumbs up button on the video and throw your favorite fighters of the MMA weekend into the chat below here in the comments on YouTube. We'd love to see what you guys are on. We want to recognize what you guys are doing as well. And we appreciate all the support with you guys. Good luck with your combat weekend. May your bankrolls grow plentiful.